Welcome to Louisiana Heartbeats. I'm guest host Dennis Ward, and I'm very excited to have with me today performer, writer, teacher, and Festival of Words president, board president Bruce Cohen, and Festival of Words board member Rick Bailey. Hi, gentlemen.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Well, the Festival of Words is in its 10th year. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about it.
I remember being involved in reading in the Festival of Words at Casa Azul in Grand Coteau in about 2008, and they had a flatbed trailer and a mic on it. It certainly has grown a lot since those days.
Absolutely, and well, rightfully so.
Tell me, how do you think the festival have grown? How have you seen it grow? Why did it come to existence? Who founded it?
One person, Patrice Melnick. Patrice was in New Orleans teaching at Xavier University, creative writing. She's a poet. She's published, and then Katrina hit. And that forced her to come west. She landed in Grand Coteau and continued her poetry writing and meeting with other poets and getting to know the lay of the land as far as other literary people were involved. And then she decided to open up a boutique shop in Grand Coteau called Casa Azul. And in the back of the boutique was a space that she created for poetry readings, film screenings, all types of events. And I think out of that, an idea sprouted in her mind, germinated, shall we say, that this was something that we could hopefully do as a festival on an annual basis. So then the Festival of Words was born. And she had a board that she brought some people on that she already knew, like Darryl Bork, who a few years ago was our poet laureate.
Right.
And again, since this is 10th anniversary, Darryl is involved as one of the featured authors. And it's just, over the years, it's just become this incredible, I think one of the state's best literary events.
I agree.
Right.
Certainly in Acadiana. It was New Orleans' loss, Acadiana's gain.
I think so.
To gain Patrice.
Right.
Well, the festival now has many events, and it's a 3-day festival starting November 2nd, Thursday, November 2nd.
Correct.
3rd, 4th, and culminates in a full schedule on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Do you want to tell the viewers just where it is and what's going to happen?
Sure. I'll take part of it, and then Rick, you can talk about Saturday.
Talk about Thursday, Bruce.
Okay. So we open Thursday night, November 2nd, at Nunu's in Arnoldville.
Right.
It's a potluck dinner. And it's basically an introduction to some of the teaching artists, which includes myself, and Othello Andrus, and Alex Poetic Soul.
Right.
And so it's just kind of an introduction to what we're doing in the schools and what our programs specifically are in accordance with the Festival of Words.
And I see there's going to be a potluck.
Yes, it's a potluck. So Nunu's in Arnoldville is an arts collective run by George Marks, who's always been an incredible supporter of Festival of Words throughout the years. So he's opening up the doors to his lovely art shop. You've been there?
Oh, many times.
Yeah, it's a great little, used to be like, I guess, an old barn, transformed into a
granary.
Transformed into a fantastic art gallery and creative space. So we'll be having a potluck and introduction kind of to the festival and to some of the teaching artists. Then Friday night, we'll have the poets, the featured authors this year, which is Darryl Bork, Patricia Smith and Allison Joseph will be at the coffee shop Chicories in Grand Coteau, where I will be emceeing. And they will be reading the poetry and also book signing.
Let's talk about these featured artists.
Okay.
A minute. Well, of course, many people here know Daryl Borg. He was
Right.
Poet Laureate from 2007 to 2011.
Yes.
And Professor Emeritus in the English department at UL.
Right.
He has written 8 books, I understand.
I believe so, yeah.
So, did you say he was a neighbor of yours, Rick?
No, my wife is a poet, so she has taken classes at Daryl's home.
Oh, okay.
He has taught master classes on poetry. That's the first time I ever met Daryl. Was a Saturday workshop at his home, and I brought her, and I got to meet Daryl. Since then, met him on several occasions. He reads his work. Recently was at UL reading with the now poet laureate, Mr. Bendel, Jack Bendel. He and Jack are very
I
close
see
friends.
in the bio that he has written a lot about Zydeco,
Yes.
the early Zydeco musician Amédée Ardoin,
Right.
and set this to music and visual art,
Correct.
his literary book.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really something. Do you think he will share some of those
Oh,
stories?
absolutely. I mean, yeah, I almost expect Friday night that to be all Amédée Ardoin related
Oh, that would be
poetry
exciting.
and works, because that's really foremost in his mind. And recently, he got through the St. Landry Tourist Commission, he got the okay to have a sculpturer come in and create a sculpture of Amédée Ardoin,
Oh,
which will be at the very front of the St. Landry Parish Tourist Center, which is off 49, just above Opelousas. And beautiful place if you've ever been there. It's an incredible facility. And so they're going to be putting a statue of Amédée kind of, as the introductory figure into St. Landry
Wonderful.
Parish.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's the grandfather of Creole.
Of modern Zydeco music.
Yes, absolutely.
It was really something that was needed because Amédée, probably most viewers don't know that he died in a unmarked pauper's grave in
Right.
Pineville Mental Cemetery.
Right.
Yes.
So this will bring light to so many things in our history, our culture.
Yeah.
That's I'm a history person. I'm working on a historical fiction book, and that's what I love about Daryl. He reaches back and brings Mr. Ardoin to life again.
I think he brings the spoken literary word to the common people. That's what I really like about him.
Yes.
His work speaks to everyday folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, it's not necessarily, I don't want to say common man poetry, but it's for everybody.
Yeah,
It's inclusive.
it is very
It's
inclusive.
very inclusive.
Well, we shouldn't diminish the other two ladies.
No, not at
No.
all.
Tell me about Allison Joseph.
Allison Joseph is her parents' Jamaican descent. She
Interesting.
grew up in New York City, and now is teaching at Southern Illinois University at Carbondale. And she is
I understand she is author of 18 books
Wow.
and
Yeah.
chapbooks.
very prolific writer.
She's the editor of the Crabtree Review, which is a very respected review in this
Right.
country.
Exactly.
And one of the things that we chose her for is her work with youth.
Right,
with,
director of
students.
Youth Writers Workshop.
I believe that's where her passion is
Right.
like we talked about bringing the poetry and words to inspire. And you never know what will happen when you meet an artist. Your spirit touches their spirit, and you just never know what tree will grow from that seed.
Absolutely.
That's very beautifully put, Rick.
Absolutely.
Very nice. Patricia Smith, do you want to?
Rick can take that for sure.
Patricia, a New York poet. She has some New Orleans. She spent some time in New Orleans. As a matter of fact, one of her books is about Katrina. Blood. I can't think of it, but can't think of the title right now. But her book will be available, and that's another thing we like. If you like these folks, you can take the book home and get it signed by them, and then when you read their work, you hear their voice.
Right. So CDs will be available of. I thought I read that's Friday CD signing and book signing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I just want to add that with all these artists, every year that we decide what artists we're going to contact and hopefully feature for that year's festival, they're all teaching artists, because our mission statement is to bring a diversity of literary talent to St. Landry Parish, but also as much of Acadiana as we can reach out to. And these artists will go into the schools the Friday before the final Saturday, and they'll be teaching artists. So it's in their contract. It's all up front that if they want to participate in the festival, that they will be teaching artists as well. So we go after authors that have a long line of teaching, creative teaching in their past, so that this is not foreign to them, that they're coming in and they're passionate and active with the students. And I've seen some of these workshops. Last year we had Yvette Landry. So in the last couple of years, we've sort of brought a singer-songwriter element, because to me, songs are poems with music.
Exactly.
So we had Yvette Landry last year, and she went into the schools on that Friday teaching and gave incredible workshops, just really connected with the students.
So the Festival of Words is more than just these 3 days.
Oh, yes.
This is something that goes on almost throughout the year.
Yeah, every month, Festival of Words Arts Collective sponsors a open mic and poetry reading, usually up in Grand Coteau at Chicory's. We do that every month to keep, the Festival of Words in people's minds, but just to sponsor these events every month.
So if some of our viewers would want to bring their latest poem or short story,
Absolutely.
they would
Please.
have.
We would invite them. Another thing we do is ask the older folks to share their stories.
The elders.
The elders, and
I know Patrice has been very big on bringing the Grand Coteau history through spoken word,
Right.
through so many people.
and that is stored at UL. It's archived at UL. So these stories, what happened in the 20s and the teens, how life was different, and
Exactly.
how, and it's I think it would be a nice Wednesday evening to come and just unplug from the computer age and listen to stories that maybe you don't hear very often.
Right.
Well, let's get back to the main day, Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
The main day,
Sure,
Saturday.
We can talk about Saturday.
Okay. Now, On the 4th, the Festival Awards will be held at the Thinstead Center in Grand
Correct.
Coteau.
That will be our base.
That will be the base.
Right.
There's a thing I love about this festival is drive-by poetry.
Yeah, let Bruce talk about that. That's his
Okay.
baby.
Well, that is my baby. I've been involved with that for, I think this is my 7th or 8th year
That's great.
as drive-by coordinator. The last couple of years, the program has gone to a point where I needed a co-coordinator. So this year I have AOC's own Othello Andrus as my,
great.
Othello and I, in fact, we did a workshop this morning in Opelousas at the Arts Academy
Great.
with 4 separate classes back to back. We did
Wow.
a drive-by workshop. So drive-by poetry is not what most people think drive-by is. I want to make that crystal clear.
There's no violence.
That drive-by poetry is called drive-by poetry because basically what we do is we send out copies of the poems from the featured artists to various schools that we know are going to participate in the drive-by. And the students learn the poems. They choose the poem that they wish to recite. They bring it to memory. I and Othello go into the classrooms and work with these students to bring them to a performance level with the poems. And then on that Saturday, for the majority of the festival, we go to stores and shops in Grand Coteau and Sunset. The kids walk in. Now, the owners know we're going to be there. That's all set up prior. But the shoppers don't. So the kids walk in and they start spotting poetry.
Oh, that's great.
And the shoppers look around. They're like, what is going on? And the Opelousas kids do it. Next week, they'll be doing it up there in Opelousas at Benny's Supermarket, Raising Cane's, and Java Square Coffee Shop. The same type of thing. Well, they'll go in and they'll either stand on the corner or go in. When they go into Benny's Supermarket, they actually walk up to somebody with a cart. They stop the cart and they start reciting poetry.
Have you experienced any just amazing story that over the years of doing this?
Yeah. One year we were in Grand Coteau, is that small cafe, Criolla, the Criolla Cafe, is that a? Yeah, with Carol, the chef up there. And we walked in one year, and usually at lunchtime there's, it's somewhat busy. We walk in and it was filled to the brim with Republican women, like a coalition.
Okay.
Whose husbands were in politics. And we walked in and they were having their annual luncheon. And we walked in and they were like, oh, we'd love to hear poetry. And we just started reciting poetry, and Carol even got into it and started reciting something, and
That's great.
It's just amazing. So these unexpected events like that happen all the time.
They say there are no accidents.
No, I don't think so. And the faces, the expressions that you get from the shoppers are really
I bet.
priceless. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot more going on. Tell me about the community mic.
The community mic. Help me, Bruce.
Okay, that's Alex Poetic Soul. That's her baby. And she's been running that for, 5 or 6 years. So at the Thinstead Center, right outside, they have a blacktop. And we set up a little stage. We have a sound system. We have a little DJ playing music in between. And Alex runs that whole thing. So it's an open mic. You can probably go to our website, festivalwords.org, and put your name on a list. Or the day of, you can go up there and meet up with Alex, and she'll be all right around there, and say that you want. She'll see what slots, if there are slots still open, and you can do song, you can do spoken word, you can do slam poetry, you can do prose, you can just tell a joke or a story or say, I wrote a recipe, here it is, or
That's great.
whatever you want to do. Anything that's spoken is literary.
Yes.
Anything. So we cover the whole entire spectrum. So Alex runs that and does an excellent job doing that.
Okay, that is exciting. A lot of writing groups from Acadiana are
Yes.
going to participate. I understand the Writers Guild.
Yes, the Writers Guild, we are so glad they're helping us this year. They're going to do 2 workshops. We have a total of 6 workshops. 2 starts at 9. I think Patricia Smith, one of our featured artists, teaches a 2-hour workshop, and Dr. Charles, how you say his last name, Bruce?
Womansdorf
Uh,
or Chaz, you just call him Chaz.
yeah, Dr. Chaz, there you go.
So these workshops, if I go to the Festival of Words website, I
Right.
can pre-register?
Absolutely. And I would encourage people to do that if they're interested. They first go to the website and see what workshops are being available and find the one that fits their passion or what they're looking for in a workshop.
That
And they can
sounds fun.
pre-register ahead of time, yeah.
So one more thing that, many things, but there's a cook-off and a student contest, I
There
understand.
is. There is. This year we're bringing in a new element. We're bringing in a black pot cook-off. And as of this week, I think we have 2 cooks that are participating in that cook-off.
Oh,
And-
so jambalaya maybe, or
Yeah,
gumbo?
jambalaya could be, you know,
Okay.
it's Creole country, so, you know. And also the Thenstead Center will be offering food as well.
Okay, so just great literary entertainment, good food, a beautiful day. I mean, it'll all
We
come
hope.
together. Yeah, we hope.
Fingers crossed. We've been really fortunate the last couple of years. We've had really good weather.
The student contest. Now, these are already submitted pieces of poetry, fiction, whatever, poems, and will be.
It's in the process now. The writing contest is currently taking place. It is supported by the Acadiana Writing Project. Toby Daspit, connected with UL, is the head person. And so the children in different grade levels submit prose or poetry or any kind of literary. They submit it to the contest, and then it's adjudicated by a panel, and then they pick and choose which.
What a great way for a young student to begin their literary
Right,
career.
absolutely. And
Get recognized by major festivals.
right. And then during the Saturday event, they'll be presented with awards.
Well, we have just a little bit of time to wrap up. Is there anything that we've missed? I mean, we've had a lot to cover today.
We did. I would just encourage people to go to the festivalwords.org to find out all the information, the scheduling. I think there'll be the schedule will be there. You can print it out. When you get to the festival, we have flyers that that open up to the schedule of events that show you exactly what's happening
this
when.
is nice. This is very nice.
Yeah, we do a really good. We'll have T-shirts, caps, and buttons available for sale. We'll have merch tables throughout the festival.
So this will be be able to be
Yes,
given out.
and on
at
the inside
festival.
is the schedule.
Right. Well, thank you so much,
We're so glad
guys,
you
for
helped.
coming.
Thank you.
I do want to talk about Patrice. This year, this special lady was recognized by the Louisiana Council for Human Relations, and she won the Humanitarian Award.
She did.
Shared with a lady, a teacher from, I think, Crowley.
I believe so. Yes.
And I think it's a great honor. very deservedly
Absolutely.
Yes.
given to Patrice, who has selflessly brought magic, literary magic, to our community.
I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again,
Thank you,
guys,
Dennis.
and
Thank you,
good luck
Dennis.
at Festival of Words. I can't wait to attend every evening, and I am going to be participating myself. So.
Wonderful.
As I would assume you would be.
Well, thank you, and to Louisiana Heartbeats. I'm Dennis Ward, guest host, and today we've been talking about the Festival of Words, November 2nd through the 4th, and there is so much to find out. Go to festivalofwords.org, and you will find out about workshops, the featured artists, drive-by poetry, good food. It's just all going to happen and come together.
Right.
Well,
Y'all
thanks.
come.
Thank you. Yeah, y'all come. Thanks, Dennis.
Oh, it's been a delight to do this with you.
It's been great.
I think we got a lot covered. Okay.